everyone, this video is designed to be a practice guide for those of you who are preparing for the string orchestra level for the online auditions. In this video, I'm going to go through kind of the main categories that the judges will be listening for. First is the tempo and rhythm, second is intonation, and the third major category is the musicality. So first, for the tempo and rhythm, I would say there are two different concepts in this excerpt that are maybe a little atypical. The first is the grace notes on the first line. So they're going to be very quick and before the beat. So if you imagine the regular rhythm without the grace notes, and now you're just going to add the grace note right before the beat. Okay, and the second thing is the accelerando. So the tempo marking that's listed is 138 to 142. And so it's really not a huge difference between the beginning of the excerpt and the end, but it's more in terms of the character. So I would make the goal tempo for this excerpt 138. You know, when you're first practicing, set it much lower, get a comfortable practice tempo, and keep increasing the tempo every day until you reach close to 138, your goal tempo. And then from there, rather than, thinking too much about the actual clicks of the accelerando, I would think of more in terms of just slightly rushing, instead of feeling like very settled and very on the back side of the beat. Just think of the front side of the beat and almost rush on purpose. The second category is the intonation. So I think this excerpt has a few spots to really watch the intonation. The first is these augmented seconds that we have. So the first one is in measure 209, F sharp to E flat. And that interval happens a few times. So we have 209, 212, 216. Yeah, it happens a few times. And so really listen to the E flat and F sharp, that there's a big space between those. The other augmented second that we have is then measure 219. We have C sharp to B flat. So make sure that the second finger is nice and low next to the first finger A, that we have a full augmented second there. And that interval also comes back a few times, like in measure 221, 223, and etc. So watch out for that interval every time it happens. Another spot for intonation, let's see, 219, is 220. So these part are going to be all half steps. So all three of these notes are really close together if you're going to play them out of order. If you play C sharp, D, E flat, but now we're going to play as written. But they're all, first, second, and third finger are all really close together, half steps. I would say the next spot to worry about is this shift that we have that happens into 220. It's from C sharp, third position, and then we have to find second finger D. And that same finger pattern, that same shift happens several times, like 223 into 224. So see if you can, imagine if you were just going to play in position, C sharp to D without shifting, and then see if you can practice slowly to match that same half step interval. So I think those are all the major spots for intonation. Then as far as musicality, we can break this into tone. Do you have a very nice tone that's not going to be scratchy? Phrasing and dynamics. There's actually no dynamics marked in the part, and this is an arrangement of the original, but I would suggest, as far as listening to recordings and everything, it's clearly forte plus. I would play it forte, and then even as it's going to the end, even make a slight crescendo to maybe fortissimo. As far as the phrasing, so again, as you do the accelerando, It gets faster and faster. It also gets more and more intense. And so as you keep going to the end, it's like everything gets bigger and bigger, and just keep building to the very end. The articulation, I think there's actually several points to watch out for. So in the first little phrase we have in measure 208, these quarter notes I would play kind of a dot dash, so still with length, but not too legato. So there's just a space, but it's not super staccato and it's not super legato. And the same thing in 210, the same idea. And then when you get to 211, I would actually play this very legato, this theme. So that's kind of this melody should be very smooth, very legato. Next we have the accents. So starting at 218, we have this D. So see if you can really grab the string, really vibrate. And it happens again, the same D in measure 220 on an up bow. So that's even harder to grab the string. So when you practice these accents, see if you can listen for making sure that the up bow really matches the down bow, even though the bow weight at the tip will be lighter. Let's see. The other thing to watch out for, measure 222, we have this up, up. So see if you can get that very clear. Really grab the string on both of those notes with a slight coming off the string between. And the last thing I would say for the articulation is the 16 notes at the end. So once we start at 230, in the tempo it will come off the string a little bit, but I wouldn't think of it too off the string. Don't think of it too spiccato. That's going to be too light and too hard to control. So I would just imagine that you're playing on the string and let the tempo kind of let the tempo make the bow jump off the string. So this kind of sound. And then the last point I would say as far as musicality is the style and character. So this piece is a bacchanal, which is a kind of crazy, crazy party. And I would see if you can make, kind of that character come alive. So imagine as it's coming to the end, it's like this crazy dance or crazy party getting more and more crazy, faster, more intense, and even louder. So see if you can kind of bring that character out. Nothing kind of tame about this excerpt. My one other piece of general advice is, as you are preparing for this audition, I would record yourself every day that you're leading up to the audition, and not just on the day that you're going to submit the recording. So this will allow you to listen back and put yourself in the position of the observer, of the audience, and see if you can go through these categories. You can even make yourself a little sheet. Imagine you are the judge. Make yourself a checklist of all these categories: the tempo, rhythm, the intonation, the musicality, which you can break into tone, phrasing dynamics, the articulation, and the style and character. And then see if you can listen back. If something doesn't sound exactly how you want it, then see if the next day in practice you can work on that first and polish all those points. Okay, I hope this video helps in your preparation for your audition for string orchestra, and happy practicing.